Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last program of our virtual admitted student programs. My name is Donna Shea, and I work in the Pitzer admission office. Today, we have Intercultural Understanding Day, where we're going to start off with our affinity groups or our ID groups. And then we're going to talk about language classes in the virtual environment, and then talk about study abroad to wrap up the session. So to start off, we're going to have our students join me on stage today, and Kayla and Olivia will take it away.
Thank you, Dawn. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about the identity groups that we have on campus that are available for all of our students. We have a variety of different ones for all the different types of identities that students may align with. We have a total of 13. And so we have some of the representatives here today to talk about their experiences with them. So I'm Kayla. I use she, her pronouns. I'm part of the Black Student Union on campus. We're going to have Jocelyn, you can go next if you would like to introduce yourself, say your class year, your name, who you are, what ID group you're a part of as well.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Jocelyn. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore, and I'm part of the Latinx Student Union.
Jacob?
Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. I use him, his pronouns. I'm a second year at Pitzer, and I am the president of our Middle Eastern Student Association. I am also the ID board representative for our Rainbow People Collaborative, and I'm also a general member of our Mixed Identity Exchange.
Anthony?
Hello everyone, I'm Anthony. My pronouns are he and his. I'm a first year at Pitzer. And I'm part of CAPAS, which is the Center for Asian Pacific American Students, as well as APAC, which is the Asian Pacific American Coalition.
And then last but certainly not least, Paris. If she can speak, that's also okay. So we're going to go to Olivia, who's going to start with our first set of questions.
Yeah, so our first question is very simple, just kind of what are ID groups, and then why are having ID groups important? Jacob, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can jump in. So identity groups are, people call them different things. Some people call them affinity groups, identity groups. Basically what they are is they're a space for students of a certain identity to build coalition and build community. And that's kind of what their main purpose is on our campus, is to allow students from a certain identity to come together and kind of share experiences and share like what being on Pitzer is like, because experiences can be unique and different for students, especially when they come from like historically marginalized backgrounds, which our identity groups kind of revolve around. And so within your ID group, you can really come together and like share like what's going on campus and how you can coalition build and how you can really come together and share your cultural values as well. That's one thing that I really find on my identity groups, is that we're able to share like specific experiences that are unique for Middle Eastern students or for queer students on campus, and really talk about like what's that like, and really have great conversation around that. So that's kind of our main overview of what our identity groups do and why they're on campus. Was there something else? I felt like there was something else. Maybe someone else can jump in and get that too.
I know that some of us are part of Identity Board. So Jocelyn, would you like to share about what Identity Board is and your experience as a representative?
Yeah, so Identity Board is a committee and a group of affinity groups. So we have LSU representatives, BSU representatives, and a bunch of other affinity group representatives who come together and they seek to improve the experiences of students within each identity group. So that's been a very important committee and organization that helps to, like I said, secure also the mission and the goals of each identity group, which is incredible. And I've had such an amazing experience with Identity Board. I joined last semester, and all of the members, they welcomed me with open arms, and it's been a great experience so far. And I am looking forward to continue working with them as well.
Kind of building off of that, what kind of events does ID Board do throughout the year? And then if you have a favorite event, share that as well. Whoever wants to speak for this.
I can jump in real quick. So some of the events that we've done in the past, when we were in person, include we did like a field day where we kind of had different sports, fun, like outdoor activities to do, frisbee, those type of things. We've also done like pool takeovers where like ID board kind of takes over the pool and like invite all our groups there. We've also done shakedown sound takeovers. And so for those of you that don't know what shakedown sound is, this is like a bi-weekly music, poetry, singing jam session. And so we did a takeover for that. So a lot of like different takeovers. And then we've also done some virtual events, which include my favorite event that we were able to do, which was our Pen Pal program that we were able to do this semester, where a bunch of different students signed up for a Pen Pal program, and then we all got kind of like randomly assigned, and so that was really exciting. And it also helped us like build, I feel like, coalition across the different groups as well, because we tried to like do like people that might not be in our group so that we were able to connect with someone else. And so I really did enjoy the Pen Pal program that we were able to host virtually.
Also, with that pen pal program, Jacob's mom made masks and things for us, and that's by far one of my favorite masks that I have. Also, I don't know if Anthony wanted to share. I saw that you were going to say something.
I guess like I'm not part of Identity Board, but I feel like for me, Affinity organizations have been really great for like building community, especially among first years. And I think many of the different Affinity organizations have like specifically sponsor programs for first years, where there's like either upperclassmen mentors who like are paired with first years, so they can help to sort of like gradually integrate them into the Pitzer campus. And I think that's been really great for me as a first year myself, just getting to know Pitzer better through my mentor, which is Millie. I love Millie. Millie's great.
Millie works in the Office of Admission. We love Millie. She's fantastic. So moving on to our next question. So what has ID Board done or the identity groups done in a virtual environment for community building? Anthony was talking a little bit about this, but I didn't know if Jocelyn or Jacob would like to share as well.
I can add something real quick. I think one thing that we've really done is also like take this time to like coalition build across the identity groups as well. I think that's one thing that's really been great is figuring out ways that we can support each other, because that's one of like also the main tasks of like Identity Board, and like just like being like 13 different groups, like you can kind of coalition build and host events together and find new ways to also like talk about like intersectionality and stuff, especially like me being like the representative for our queer and trans student association. I really have tried to like look at ways that like I could be intersectional with my work and like also like event planning and stuff like that. And then also another thing kind of like adding on to that is that like virtually I feel like we've also been able to welcome the freshman class in like a new way, and especially like Anthony really touched upon this, but like it's sometimes hard like coming to Pitzer as the first year, and so identity groups I really feel like serve as like a really great place for students of color, like historically marginalized background, to arrive and find community. I know I was able to find community first in like my identity groups, and I've hoped that like with at least like the groups that I'm a part of, I've really tried to foster that for the first years in those spaces. And so I think that's one thing that's like really critical work that ID groups do, is welcome students and kind of help them feel like they're at home here. And I know I've really been able to find my home in my identity groups, so I try to recreate that for others.
And also, just to add on what Jacob was saying in regards to like the cross collaboration with affinity groups, I think that that's also very important, because, for example, we can all join together like or unite with our ideas, and even incorporate each other's ideas into our own affinity groups, which is great. Like if ESU did a specific event, then we can also do that as well for other affinity groups, which is I think it's just a nice way for us to also check in and create a sense of community, especially during the virtual learning experience. But I think also what Identity Board has done is meet with administrators and faculty members from Pitzer, and also just to advocate for the student needs and hear the experiences of students, but especially right now during the virtual semester. So I think that that's been very influential and something that Identity Board has been seeking to do during these times.
Next question is, how often does ID Board or the ID groups work with different offices on campus, and what does that look like?
So I know at least ID board really tries to collaborate with other offices, and specific groups do as well. One example that I'll bring up for Mesa is that we were able to work with our career services office, and have one of the career service counselors come to one of our meetings and talk to us about opportunities for Middle Eastern students, and like how to also just like write resumes and like give extra support, because sometimes it can be difficult to access those spaces. And then like also with RPC, we do have specific, like on the career services webpage even, like a specific tab that talks about like all the different opportunities for queer and trans students. I know they also have a section, I think, for first generation students, as well as students of color. And I think maybe one more, but I can't remember entirely all the sections on the career services webpage. But I know career service does a really good job trying to work with us and like help our students feel supported. And they've even created like a newsletter for like career services specifically for our identity-based organizations and identity-based groups, so that they can feel supported by career services, which I've really come to appreciate since knowing like after Pitzer, like I'll be looking for a career, and I really appreciate like the support that they've given to like really help students of color and like identity group students feel like they're supported.
And just to add on to Jacob as well, I know LSU and the first generation club, which I'm also a part of, we've had a career services advisor, Carolina. She's great. She comes and talks to us about her experience as well being a first generation student, and she guides us with either like resume building, cover letters, which is also very important. And I know we've also had writing fellows come to first generation club meetings, and that exposes us to like the numerous resources that are available on Pitzer's campus, especially for first years who maybe haven't had the chance to experience it firsthand. And I know that recently Identity Board partnered with ResLife to have a roommate mixer. So that's comes to show that we do value the importance of reaching out with other offices across Pitzer as well. Mm-hmm.
Can I jump in? I remembered one other thing that Mesa does that I think is a really fun thing that I know some other groups do, is that we actually also do faculty events. So all professors across the colleges who identify as Middle Eastern or North African, we actually invite them to like a dinner with all our students, and we have like a little social. And I've really come to appreciate that, because like it helps me like get to know like MENA faculty and like learn like who like I can feel supported from, and like who I can kind of get like that like for like shared value and like family from. And so that was really exciting. And like also like it's a dinner, so we get like really good like Middle Eastern food, and it's delicious. But it's also like we partner with faculty to really help usher that along and ensure that like we're learning from like professors and like academics who also like identify with us, and like we can like learn from them, and like feel like there's people in these like higher academic spaces that like look like us, which is something that I know like a lot of students appreciate as well with those type of events.
I know for BSU as well, we have a faculty advisor. I don't know if all the rest of the ID groups do. Okay, so with ESU, we talk a lot with our faculty advisor that we have in other faculty as well, like Jake was saying. And then over the past year, because it's been virtual and it's been a little bit easier to connect with people, we've also started to like talk more with the president of the college and like talk about the future of BSU and like the partnerships and things that we could do with him as well. So that's been really fun. So the next question is, what is your favorite part about being part of an identity group? Jocelyn.
I think my favorite part about being, involved with identity groups and affinity groups across campus has been just finding that sense of community, and that supportive community that is always going to be there to, guide you or just allow you to reflect about your own experiences or connect about your cultural backgrounds as well. I think that that's very important, especially when your identities don't make up the majority of this like student population on campus. I think just finding those supportive networks and that supportive community has been influential for me in my progress from being a first year to now being a rising junior. And I think just meeting the relationships that you build in your affinity groups are key to your academic trajectory and just personal growth overall as well. So I think that that's the most important thing, or just the thing that I've enjoyed the most with my experiences being involved in affinity groups.
I guess like I really enjoyed how, I guess, like affinity groups like foster a space for dialogue as well as support. I guess like a few months back, APAC actually hosted a forum on anti-Asian violence, and I felt that was a really great space just to like really talk about our identities and like have a space where we can like really voice our ideas and like our feelings in like just like a safe space in the community. I felt like these community spaces were what really helped me like open myself up this first year online.
For me, it really just, I have to say, like the family I've been able to create, and like the sense of home that I feel like. One thing that like I really like is that each identity group has their own room, and so Mesa has really been able to like kind of like turn our room into like our own little space that like feels like home, that like also has like Middle Eastern treats and candies and snacks that like you don't always like get like when you go to the dining hall. So like that's one thing that I really like about having like your own space. Like you can really make it feel like as welcoming. Like same thing with like RPC. Like we have like the lavender room, which really like we've tried to create like a really inclusive like a space for like all students that like identify within like the queer and trans community. Like they can come in there and like feel like they're good, and like it has a bunch of couches, which I really like couches, and like in my dorm room I can't really fit a couch with like two beds, so I enjoyed being able to like go there and like lay on a couch and not feel like there were like people from like Pomona like seeing me like lay on a couch or anything like that. So I really enjoyed having like that own like private space within each of my affinity groups.
Great. We got a question in the Q&A. Oh, Paris answered it, but we can also answer it out loud, which was, I feel most comfortable being surrounded by people of color. So when starting out at Pitzer, did you find it easy to find other students who resemble you? If someone wants to speak to that. Jocelyn, do you want to start?
Yeah, I could definitely speak on behalf of that. I know I was actually I think it wasn't hard to find students who resembled me in the beginning because I was actually a part of the CLSA retreat. And so OBSA and CLSA are like larger organizations like across the 5 Cs for students to like connect. And they had a retreat where we were able to meet other students who identified as us as well, like with similar identities. And that I was able to meet students from Pomona, Scripps, but also, create my own friends from Pitzer as well. And I think that that's one of the, I highly suggest if you have the chance to do so. Yes, thank you, Kayla, for mentioning that. But if you do have the chance to join a retreat or even go to meetings, definitely do so. I think that that's where you'll be able to find other students as well. And like I said, I think naturally I was able to I think you naturally gravitate to those who maybe you're most comfortable with. That was my experience, and it's not hard to do so as well. Mm-hmm.
Anthony?
Yeah, I know that, I guess, I know for my affinity group, APAC and Kappas, sorry, they hosted specific events for first years to meet other first years who also had the same identities. So I think that was a great way just to like meet people who like share that identity. And I guess like as you went to more meetings, you're like, oh, I recognize you, let's be friends. And I think that was just a great way to like make friends my first year.
So I think that was all the questions that we had. So I would like to say thank you all so much for coming and for sharing your experience with identity groups. We are going to take a little break before our next session of this Admitted Students program. So thank you all again so much for coming, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our music during that break. I'm going to invite the two professors that we have here today to talk about languages in a virtual environment. So we're going to start off with basic introductions. Just if you could talk about who you are, how long you've worked at Pitzer, and what courses you teach. We're going to start with Paula.
All right. Oh, Juanita's camera is not working. My name is Paula Gutierrez. I teach Spanish at different levels, but mostly the advanced Spanish classes and some upper divisions. I also teach a class for heritage speakers of Spanish.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juanita Aristizabal. I am a professor, a Spanish and Portuguese professor at Pitzer. I have been at Pitzer since 2014. And where Paula and I are here to tell you a little bit about the really exciting language programs we have at Pitzer. Kayla is actually one of our star students in those programs, so it's really fun to have her with us here today. And we're really excited to talk to you today. So maybe Paula can start while I connect. Is that okay?
Sure. Would it be okay? Can I share my screen? Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Okay. Perfect. All right. Okay, so at Pitzer, we have a very special languages program. It's interdisciplinary, integrative, and community engaged languages and cultural studies. That's how we called it. And it is based on a very deceptively simple tenet, which is that language is a social practice. And as such, we like our students to learn in different contexts of meaningful interaction in the target language with different communities. And those communities can be the classroom communities, can be communities at home, communities abroad, or all of those in a happy mixture, like we have been exploring more and more, especially this year. Okay, so this is a little diagram that we use to explain our pedagogy and methodology, and maybe Juanita that is back. Hello, Juanita. Oops. You want to talk about the diagram? Oh, no, we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Hold on, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
I promise that we are a lot better with online learning, although we won't be doing a lot of that anymore. So I guess it's okay anyway. So as Paula was saying, we have 3 components of our program. And what we try to do at Pitzer, which is very different from different language programs in other colleges, is that we really try to make language learning about outreach with communities. So we really want to make sure that our teaching and our learning is rooted in communities. And for us, that means communities at home. We have a series of community partners around Pitzer that we work with for different kinds of experiences and curriculum that we have developed throughout the years. We also have our courses on campus that build on those partnerships with communities at home. And we have wonderful study abroad programs that we also integrate into our courses and into our curriculum. And lately we have been, obviously because of the pandemic, but even predating the pandemic, we have been also using a lot of technology, social media, virtual communities to connect our students with communities abroad while we are on campus. So that's something that we have been working on for a while now, and that we actually developed quite a bit during the pandemic. And we'll tell you a little bit about that later. So maybe you can do the next slide, Paula.
This is just all of us.
So yeah, this is us. We actually have people that would have liked to be here today but couldn't make it. We have Ethel Jorge, who is like one of the nation experts and gurus of community-based pedagogy in languages. We also have Jose Luis Flores, who's from Spain, who's specialized in our basic language program. Ariana Porras, she's from Mexico, and she teaches a very cool course about public health in Latin America, in which our students have the opportunity to travel to the border to learn a little bit about the challenges that migrant communities face and the way the differences between the Mexican and the US health systems. Laura Amador, who is from California, but her heart is in Spain. And then Professor Feli Catan, who recently joined us, and she is from France and also from Guadeloupe in the French Caribbean. So she's a specialist in the Caribbean, and she is actually building our French program at Pitzer. And in the future, we hope to offer also Creole, and maybe a study abroad program in the Caribbean. So the really exciting things happening also with French at Pitzer right now. And then Paula is there. Did you tell them where you're from, Paula?
I didn't. I'm from Argentina. I'm from the south of South America.
And I am from Colombia. So we have like a variety of countries represented in our faculty. So here you see some pictures. If you go back, Paula, here you have, we have some pictures of some of the things that we have been doing. You see, like that's the typical classroom shot. That kind of like tight-knit community is something that we try to foster all the time. And we have these little circles all the time. So our classrooms don't look like, like rows. We're just all the time interacting, engaging, talking and communicating with others. That's kind of like our goal with languages, is to get you to speak with others. And then there's involvement with the communities at home, as I was saying. This is a picture of one of our students in our study abroad program in Brazil doing capoeira. And then the typical Zoom shot that everyone is so used to these days. Even in that format, I think we have been successful in creating community. And this is a picture, this specific picture is a picture of a virtual community that we have with English learners in Brazil. So our Portuguese learners here at the 5 Seasons at Pitzer interact with English learners in Brazil. And this was one of the meetings that we had with our virtual community.
Perdón. So all of this year we have worked very closely with our study abroad programs in Costa Rica and Quito in Ecuador and Bahia in Brazil, deepening some of the previous relationships we had and making new contacts and exploring new opportunities for our students to engage with the people and with those communities that are in each one of those countries and sites. And besides that, we also included this year experiences where guest speakers and activists, artists, journalists, different people in all of these other different countries came in Zoom to our classes to talk to our students, to be interviewed by our students. There were very many different forms of these exchanges. Juanita has some pictures here of some of her classes, but I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, maybe just, I guess the map gives you a sense of kind of like the idea that we have an approach that focuses on Latin America with Spanish and recently incorporates Portuguese and also French, the French-speaking Caribbean, and all these class visits that actually used to happen before the pandemic and were like part of what kept us going throughout the pandemic are in the form of interviews. So this is very important. These were not lectures that all these people gave. These were actual interactions that our students were able to have with journalists and activists and academics throughout Latin America, like Paula said. So I really enjoyed watching our students interview these experts and these people, and it was definitely one of the highlights of the pandemic, I would say.
Okay.
So with the French program, recently Professor Catan started working to build a virtual community based on the work we have been doing with Portuguese. So because we don't have a Portuguese speaking community near Pitzer, we started building our community-based component or one of the community-based components for Portuguese program virtually around 5 years ago. So based on the work that we have been doing with Portuguese, Professor Catan is actually starting to develop a French virtual community with high school and now with college students in Guadeloupe and in Martinique. So here's a picture of William and his partner Ines. And I think the idea is that eventually this course will end up with a trip to the French-speaking Caribbean with Professor Catan, in which students will actually have the opportunity to meet their partners and interact. So that's something exciting that is happening right now regarding French at Pitzer.
We also have developed new ways of interacting with the communities that were already our community partners in different classes, and that this is part of our Spanish community-based program. And in this class, in this particular class, Spanish in the Community, Children of Immigration, before the pandemic, our students did had a component of service learning at a school near our campus in Azusa. And in this past year, that couldn't happen, of course. So that component became something virtual, where our students were working on developing a repository of little videos to help the students at that school. But the same happened also with a bilingual Quechua Spanish school in Quito. And both, so our students had the opportunity to work with both schools in California and Ecuador, helping the students there.
And also, I guess we should mention that, I don't know if Paula said this already, but this community partner, specifically Yachayhuasi, which is a bilingual school, and an intercultural education school in Quito, is one of the community partners of Pitzer's program in Ecuador. So this is actually work that we are hoping will become integrated into what we do on campus, but also built from the actual experience on the ground that our students will have and will continue to have in Quito once study abroad resumes.
Okay, and this is just a list of all the people we had the honor and the fortune to have contribute to our classes throughout this year. And we really hope that some of these relations actually predate, or some of these relations are with people that are part of our community, our study abroad sites, like Juanita just said, but also we had already started inviting people to talk in our classes and to have them be interviewed by our students, people that our students are reading, maybe journalists that our students have read, and then they come to the class and engage in a dialogue with our students about that content. So this is evolving and developing and becoming a larger and larger network of people that our students are able to talk to.
Yeah, it's always wonderful to see how these connections that we're able to establish it throughout these visits end up in like different research interests for students, projects, connections, a lot of things that they can also integrate with different things they're doing at the college for their majors or their minors. So it's like really we see Spanish and French and Portuguese and language learning in general as an interdisciplinary endeavor. So we're always trying to bring, social science perspectives, humanities perspectives, anthropology, like all different kinds of disciplines into what we do. And that, I think that makes our language program stand out and makes it really special.
I think that's it.
This is like a last nice picture. This is our picture from our classroom, the classroom of our partner for study abroad in Bahia, in Brazil. This is our language lab, which is a beautiful space again. And this is actually on the left, a picture of one of the meals that our students share with the promotoras, who are like amazing women who are head of their families, who host our students every week as part of our community-based Spanish practicum, which is a program that has been running at Pitzer for over 20 years now. So yeah, these are some pictures, and I guess what we're hoping to do here is to kind of open the floor for questions, answer any I see there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
One has to do with the, Kayla is already on it, but someone asked what are all the different languages that we can take at Pitzer? And the answer is we have a French, a Portuguese, and a Spanish program in-house. And then, as Kayla said, all the different languages that are taught at the Claremont colleges are also accessible to you. Kayla, for instance, has studied Portuguese, is studying Spanish, and is also studying Italian at Scripps. And she created a special major in Italian and Spanish. So the opportunities to combine different languages, to learn new languages, to go abroad and study these languages are all there. And then you can take the next question since it's actually perfect for you, Paula.
Yes, I was going to type, but I'll talk, I'll answer live. So Danilo asks if he's a native speaker of Spanish and wonders if there are any opportunity available to participate or help during classes right now. And yes, well, right now, not right now, but yes, when you are here, we have all our lower division classes have a conversation component that is led by students that are native speakers. So that's one opportunity where international students and also US heritage speakers of the language participate as conversation leaders and tutors and help their peers. And also there are other opportunities to participate in some of the other classes, in particular the classes that that have field trips in the city or community-based components that may need some additional help. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities to participate and help. And so when you can email us and we can talk more about that. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Okay.
What are you interested in? If you want to write in the chat, we would love to hear what languages you're interested in.
Oh, Kayla is asking if we work in any capacity with students for research. Yes.
Yeah,
take that one.
We actually do. Actually, I don't know. Kayla is kind of a perfect person to be moderating this today. Kayla and I did some summer research, so there is definitely opportunities to get involved with research with professors. And there is this very special component to your experience abroad, which is a directed independent study project. And usually students come back with wonderful projects that they further develop once they get here. So there is definitely research opportunities. And also another thing that I should say, like speaking about like research opportunities and student involvement in our programs, is that our program was built along with students. So that picture that I showed you, that we showed you of the community-based Spanish practicum, that was an initiative that Professor Jorge developed along with students. So at Pitzer, students have the opportunity to participate in curriculum development, to, you know, to be kind of active drivers and designers of whatever happens at Pitzer. And our language programs particularly really value their input and are really built with them. So another thing is that all our upper level courses have a seminar format. So we're really into experiential learning, collaborative learning. So that's kind of like the kind of classroom experience that you will get at Pitzer in our language courses.
That kind of continues into our next question of what does an upper level Spanish class look like? So could you share a little bit about like what a lower level class would look like, an introductory level class versus an upper level?
So maybe Paula is our lower division coordinator, so she can tell you all about, and she also teaches upper division courses, but maybe you can start describing some of our lower division courses, Paula.
Sure. So one important thing to know is that our lower division language program is intercollegiate, meaning that students can take classes at any of the other colleges or Pitzer, and the sequence of classes is the same for all 4 colleges that offer the languages. So we of course like our students to stay at Pitzer and take classes in our program, but it is possible to start at Pitzer, go take a second level, some at CMC, and then come back to Pitzer. So all of the lower division sequence has 4 levels, and all of those classes have, besides, like we said before, meet with their professor in the classroom, normally like any regular class. They also have a conversation component with led by other students. And all of our classes are oriented very strongly toward communication. We use a communicative approach, and we emphasize the ability of interacting with native speakers from the beginning of the sequence. Yes, and then I don't know if I think that's good for the lower division. And then we have a variety of upper division classes. Like Juanita can talk.
Yeah, so again, all the consort, like the Scripps, Pomona, and Pitzer, and Claremont McKenna, they all offer upper division courses.
Mm-hmm.
I would say they're really cool courses throughout the 5 Cs, and really to like satisfy anyone's interest, right? So that's really good. And actually they're, you know, content courses at a very advanced level, but they're also multi-level. So in those courses, we usually have students who have returned from abroad and have kind of like, you know, developed the wonderful fluency. We have students who are just following the sequence and are like, you know, now ready to take upper division courses. We also have native speakers, you know, students from Paraguay, from Argentina, from Mexico, who are studying here. We have heritage speakers as well. So it's kind of like a mix. And I think that makes the classroom really vibrant and like a really dynamic place. And at Pitzer specifically, our courses, the upper division courses have, a lot of them have service learning or a community-based component because of what we're in our methodology, and they are aligned with our community-based approach. So that's kind of what you will find in the upper division courses at Pitzer. And they're all seminars. So again, lots of student participation, lots of collaborative learning, experiential learning. We have a course that happens in Los Angeles. So every Friday, students, or every Friday, not maybe every other Friday, most Fridays during the semester, students spend the morning in LA exploring different communities in LA. We have the Public Health in Latin America course, as I already said, is also an upper division course and has a trip to the border. I'm trying to think what else. My students in a course I teach about journalism in Latin America. They work with local organizations to produce podcasts about the history of those organizations and the challenges they're currently facing. So there's a little bit of reporting and hands-on work, journalistic work too. So yeah, those are our Spanish upper division courses. They're pretty cool. And someone asked about French. Someone asked how big do we think, how much growth do we expect from the French program or something like that. I'm not saying it again anymore, but anyway, how much do we expect the French program to grow? So the answer for that is the French program is also part of an intercollegiate program. So our French program functions with CMC and with Scripps. So it's already quite large. Our French professor is also a Spanish professor. And the idea with building a French program at Pitzer is building a program that is different from what is offered at the other 5 Cs. And that will basically be that community-based methodology. So that's kind of what we're bringing. Also, it will not have an emphasis in continental France, but rather, you know, the Caribbean, Africa. So it's kind of like a different model to complement the existing curricular offers in French at the 5 Cs. So that would be French.
And then for our last question, it's going to be a question. So what is your favorite part about teaching languages at Pitzer? You can say the students, that's also okay.
Kayla,
I mean, I wouldn't be lying, actually. Paola, you want to answer?
No, because I couldn't hear. I got it.
What is your favorite part about teaching languages at Pitzer?
Oh, I think two things. One is the students. The students are really motivated and bring into the classroom a lot of different interests and reasons why they want to learn the language, and that is what gives the class a special motor to move towards in different directions. And really, it's always new and always exciting. And I also love, I am not, my training is not in literature, but our program is, although it includes literature in all of our classes, our program is broader, and that's what I like about it, the enormous possibilities of approaching the language from different social and cultural perspectives, and dealing with historical, political, social topics that are important to the lives of the people who speak the language. And those I think are my two favorite things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Paula. I think the best part is the students. As you may or may not know, we don't have a language requirement at Pitzer. So everyone who's taking a language course at Pitzer is really taking it because learning another language is such a powerful skill to communicate with others, to make a difference in the world, to be able to understand how different people live and experience, different realities. So I love seeing what students do with the language. That's kind of my favorite part. And my favorite part is also having a classroom full of strangers and then have that become like a real community through that shared goal of learning a language. Mm-hmm. That's my absolute favorite experience, following students' path up until the time they graduate and go out and do internships and end up living in different places, having great jobs, marrying people from those places, doing all sorts of fantastic things. Mm-hmm. That is one of my favorite parts of teaching languages there.
Thank you. Thank you both so much for your time and for sharing about languages, especially in a virtual environment as well. I know I personally love languages. That's why I designed my major on it. So thank you again. And we are going to transition now into our study abroad and international program section of Zoom call. So we're going to have Kiwa, hi, and Mike, you're going to talk about our programs.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, there, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So I can hear myself. And
yeah,
I think we are ready to start on study abroad. And maybe Mike, you can start by giving how,
well,
introduce yourself. Then I'll introduce myself and then we'll roll with whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna start very soon with getting questions from people. I want to make sure that we address the things that the audience feel are important that you want to come away with. But I'll introduce myself briefly and Kibukili can introduce herself. So my name is Mike Donahue and my official title is Director of Pitzer Programs and Intercultural Education. I work with a number of colleagues in the Study Abroad office, and basically I oversee a series of programs that we call Pitzer Direct Run programs. And these are programs that at Pitzer College, we consider them our own programs in the sense that we hire the staff, we hire the faculty, we set the curriculum, and they're really a part of the curriculum at Pitzer College. And I think perhaps later on I can talk a little more about how those programs are structured and the educational model that they follow, which is very unique and something that's very attractive to a lot of students. But so that's what I do. I do a lot of advising. I do a lot of orientation. I work with the foreign staff that runs those programs. Now, let me briefly mention that those programs, full semester programs, are in Italy, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Southern Africa, and Nepal. And then we have summer programs in Brazil, Costa Rica, which is a program that focuses on public health, and Vietnam. So those are really the programs that I oversee. I've been at Pitzer for a while. I started working at Pitzer way back in 1978. And I ran the program in Nepal for many, many years, up until the early 90s. And then I transitioned back to Pitzer and started looking after a broader array of programs and working more directly with students on this side, as opposed to students when they get abroad. But one of my favorite, I guess my favorite part of the job is still working with students, helping them explore options for study abroad, helping them think about how study abroad will fit into their educational plan and beyond. Because even now, you guys are first years, or you're gonna be first years, and I don't think it's too early to start thinking about the bigger picture and how is study abroad not only going to be a key part of the educational plan that I developed for myself at Pitzer, but how is it going to possibly propel me into my life after Pitzer, into grad school, into jobs, into professional school, whatever it might be for you. It's not too early to start thinking that in that type of long range, big picture way. And if you do that, I think you'll find, and we'll flesh this out a bit as we go through the session, that study abroad can really be a life changer. It can really help to form you, form the way you think about education, form the way you think about yourself, other cultures, and prepare you to be better at whatever field you go into, and make you more qualified when you apply for those fields, when you apply for jobs or grad school. So I'm excited to be here. That's about all I want to say as an introduction. I'll turn it over to my good colleague, Kibu Kili, and let her take. Yeah.
I have a fancy title called Associate Dean of International Programs and Study Abroad. And what that means is that I do the rest of the world that Mike doesn't cover in what we call exchange program. These take a few forms, and I'll go down them very quickly. I can expand later. We have what we call reciprocal exchanges, where a Pitzer student goes from Pitzer College to fill in the blank, University of Edinburgh, Birmingham University. It could be a university in Asia, like Ewha Women's University in Korea, or it could be, anywhere in the world where we do not have what Mike described as direct run program. These are opportunities for Pitzer students to study at other universities and see how the other half live, and actually go to very prestigious schools like Oxford University for a year and see how to interact with the Oxford dons. That's what they call their professors. We also have opportunities in smaller destinations and in countries all over Latin America, Africa, and so on, where our students can go over there and study as regular locals and feel what it is like to be that. On the other side of that coin, I have the pleasure of being the academic advisor for all those students who come from those same universities that we call reciprocal exchanges. And what happens is a really wonderful thing at Pitzer, where if our students, our matriculating students, do not go abroad, abroad can come to them, if Mohammed can't go to the mountain kind of conversation. So we have that at Pitzer. So some students find themselves rooming with a student from Jamaica, or a student from Ecuador, or any other place around the globe. And that's because we have reciprocal exchanges, right? That's one model. Another model that we do is something called ISEP. ISEP stands for International Student Exchange Programs. These are global universities, 300 plus around the world, that have partnered with Pitzer College to enable those students who really want to find something unique, because all of you are special and unique, to find something that really will resonate with them in their academic journey, or something they've always wanted to do for whatever reasons. And Pitzer College enables students to go and study over there. And there are a few other direct programs, but I'm not going to talk about those because Mike will talk about those. But there is another direct program that is an exchange, not quite component in Sevilla, Spain. I always like to mention that one because it falls through the cracks. It's not a Pitzer direct run program like Mike will talk to you about. It's not an exchange like what I've just told you about, but guess what? It is a Pitzer program. And then lastly, as I'm introducing myself, I want you to know that I have been around the block for a little while. I started not as early as Mike. I started in the late 90s as a host parent in Zimbabwe. I'm a Zimbabwean national. And I was a host to the very first student that I worked with. And I fell in love with this kind of work. And since then, late 90s, I've been doing this. And believe it or not, that woman is in her 50s, cough, cough. And she is now we still are in touch. And that is the beauty of that whole thing. And I am very proud to say, when our students go abroad and live with families, something happens, and it's lifelong learning. It's not what they learn in class, it's what you will learn over there. Well, in the office, I do all the advising and all those things, but I don't think you care to hear that. I think what is more interesting is that I spent 10 years directing the program in Zimbabwe, and then a couple more years directing another in Botswana, because we had to move the program ever so quickly over the summer from one country to the other when Zimbabwe started to have serious issues. And then within the last almost 20 years, I've been in Claremont here at Pitzer College, and you can see it behind me. It's a beautiful place, and when you come, you'll have a wonderful time here. But my job, as soon as you get here, is to whisper in your ear that there is somewhere where you can go and have a fantastic experience.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
stop there.
I'm gonna just share the screen real quick.
Right.
Hopefully, yeah. So slideshow.
Yes.
From current slide, see if that comes out. And
Yes,
so welcome everyone. This is not going to be a PowerPoint presentation, but I just wanted to say that we actually created a slide to welcome you. And I want to move right to the, now that you've heard a little bit about Kibukili and myself and sort of the types of programs that each of us looks after. I would like to hear from you guys. And rather in the question and answer box or the chat, I'm going to do it the old fashioned way. So I would like, I would just like to hear what you're interested in coming away with. And let me see here. I'll go to this one. Yeah. So we don't, what kind of things would you guys like to, what would you, we've got about 45 minutes left. What would you like to learn? What are your questions? What do you want to come away with from this session? What's important to all of you? We want to make sure there's so much we could talk about. Kibo, Keely, and I, collectively, we've been doing this for, I don't even want to add it up, Shaw, but
No, we're not adding today.
it's longer than most of your parents have been alive. And we could talk for hours. So we want to make sure that we focus in on what's important to you. So can you folks talk? Is this allow people to talk? How does that work?
There are actually two questions already, Mike. So the first one is, can Pitzer student access direct run programs hosted by other colleges in the consortium?
So
maybe you want to address that, and I'll address the next one, and we go like
yeah, but I just want to see, can our participants speak or not? How is this set up? I am old-fashioned after all my years in Nepal. I like to hear people speak. I like to see faces of people who are speaking. Is that possible, Kayla, or anyone who's
yeah, we can turn that function on. So students, I just turn on the function to raise hands. If you can answer Mike's question in the chat or the Q&A box, pass that along, or if you want to speak directly, you can raise your hand and I will invite you on stage.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I would love to meet some of you, see you in person. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. But in the meantime, we'll try to answer some of the questions we have. Can Pitzer students access direct run programs hosted by other colleges in the consortium? Well, the interesting thing is we're really the only college in the consortium that has our own program. So when you say direct run, we're the only college that has the programs that we have developed, where we hire the faculty, where we set the curriculum. The other colleges use what are called third-party providers, which are other organizations that run study abroad programs or other universities that have study abroad programs. And there's a lot of good third-party providers out there. We use some at Pitzer too. You can apply for programs that are run by the other colleges, but they would be considered unapproved programs at Pitzer, and you would have to do a petition process. And we don't want to get into the details of that, but we do want you to be able to choose the program that is the best fit for you in terms of your educational plan. And we think that once you get into the process and you work with people like Kibo, Keely, and me and go through the advising and the info sessions, and we put a lot of work into helping you make an informed choice, that you probably will be able to, most of you will be able to find what you want amongst the programs that Kibo and Keely and I oversee.
And then Catherine asked the question, how do you apply for the exchange program? Well, once you are accepted at Pitzer, the application for the exchange program is really a formality so that we collect some data. So once you are in for all intents and purposes. For the reciprocal, once you are a student at Pitzer, you are almost guaranteed that you can go unless there's a quota. So for example, Oxford University can only take 2 students per year. So there is a quota, so there's competition and so on. But having said that, there are other universities that, in my opinion, are equally good with Oxford. We have Essex and Birmingham and Bristol right there in the same backyard with Oxford. So we assist you in the application process, and everything is done in-house. We work with you from the conceptualization point, and you work with your professors and so on. Mike, would you like to take the next one?
Yeah, well, actually, I would like to take the one that says, what are study abroad options for students who are undecided? I think I already answers the next one, the previous one, which was, if you want to study abroad in a country where we don't have a program, then you would research, you would work with us, work with your faculty advisor, find the program you want, and you would then have to petition for that program. And then if there's a solid educational reason why that program is the best fit for your educational plan, then there would be a good chance that your petition would be approved. Not guaranteed. There has to be a really solid educational reason. I'd like to go to the next one. What are the study abroad options for students who are undecided? And the answer to that is we get several types of students who come to us. You're going to, the first step in the study abroad process is to go to an info session. So this coming fall, there will be a series of info sessions. And if you would like to study abroad the fall semester or the spring semester of your sophomore year or the summer after your first year, then you'd want to go to one of those info sessions. And then after the info session gives you some basic background knowledge about study abroad that we want everyone to have. And then the next step after the info session is to go to a personal advising session with someone like myself or Kibo Kili or another one of our colleagues. And what I want to say in regards to this question is we get two basic types of students that come to these sessions. We get a student that already thinks they know where they want to go. And then that's fine. And then hopefully as they learn more about study abroad and the kinds of things you want to look at and think about in order to make an informed decision, that place where they want to go, they will affirm that decision, or sometimes they'll decide, oh, well, maybe there's something better for me than that. And then the other type of student that we get are students that have no idea where we want to go. And that's perfectly fine. The whole process is geared towards really helping students who enter into the process knowing nothing about study abroad, nothing about where they want to go, to begin to learn about all the different types of things they might want to consider. It's not just what country. It's, I want to go to Spain, fine, but do you know that there's maybe over 100 study abroad programs in Spain? And which one of those programs is going to best allow you to meet your educational goals? Because those programs are going to have different educational models and different educational philosophies and different structures. And so, you work on this and you gradually narrow it down and learn more and more about the basic educational models that are out there, the basic structures of program. And then we work with you and eventually help you to make the very best choice you can for yourself. It's all about you making the best choice you can for a study abroad program. So so if you're undecided, that's perfectly fine and normal. Many of our students who enter the process, even students who are already sophomores and juniors, are undecided before they come to us. So,
and then somebody's asking about how do we pay for this? This is very expensive business. Studying abroad and travel is expensive. How do we do this? Here is the good news. You pay Pitzer College the usual Pitzer tuition for tuition, room and board as usual. And you can go wherever you want, whether you want to go to the programs Mike described or any of the ones that I have described, you can go anywhere. How do we do that? Pitzer realizes that the most important thing for you is your educational journey. And so your financial situation shouldn't be the determinant of where you end up studying. So you can go wherever your educational journey takes you. And Pitzer College makes sure you have a ticket to get there, an airline ticket to get to that same destination. Pitzer College will make sure that you have a travel insurance so that should you lose your laptop, I hope not, but should you lose your laptop on the way, you can get a replacement through some of these insurances. Then your tuition at that university or that program is taken care of. Your meals and board are taken care of. Your study trips, and here is a well-kept secret. If you want to go to the Galapagos and you think it's too expensive, here is the secret. Go on a Pitzer program in Ecuador. Or if you want to go on safari, you could go on an SIT program in Rwanda. So the world is your oyster. And what my job and that of Mike's is to help you find your space. So finances shouldn't be any more of an issue than they are when you are on the Pitzer campus.
Thank you, Shaw. That was a great explanation. I'm very proud of Pitzer because we've developed this system many, many years ago. And basically, you know, whatever financial situation you have for a semester at Pitzer, as Kibokili said, so however much you pay, however much financial aid you get, that applies. That's duplicated when you go abroad. And even if you're on work study, in many countries, it would be illegal to work abroad, or we just wouldn't want you working abroad because there's other more important things you need to be doing in terms of your education. And so most often the financial aid office will convert work study funds to grant funds for students when they go abroad. So very proud that our students on financial aid do not have to choose a program based on its cost, but can choose the program based on what's the best fit for them educationally. So that's really good news, and very proud of Pitzer for doing that. So what's another question out there that
Well, I'd like to answer this one on how does it work if we want to study? No, not that one. If the one on fulfilling graduation requirements, how does fulfilling Pitzer graduation requirements work for students studying abroad? Within the last 5 years, Intercultural Understanding Global is a Pitzer requirement. And there's another one, Intercultural Understanding Local. That's a Pitzer requirement. And the global naturally can be fulfilled when you are abroad. But that's not the only objective you can fulfill. You can go and take classes in whatever your major is at another university, and you bring it back and we translate it onto the Pitzer transcript as a credit. So you may go anywhere as long as your academic advisor says, yes, this course that you are going to take at the University of Adelaide in Australia translates and will meet your 32 class requirements for graduation. So we work with you. It's not something you have to struggle on your own. There's a partnership between professors and our office to ensure that whatever you go and study over there fits in within the educational journey. So you are not on your own, thrown out there as happens at other universities where you go and figure it out on your own. No, there are academic advisors who sit here, who are professors, who will work with you to make sure that whatever you are doing fits into your trajectory.
Thank you. I want to add one thing to what Kibokili just said. Earlier on when I was speaking, I said that we want study abroad to be something that fits your educational plan. And notice I used the word plan rather than major. And I want to make a point, and I'll start with a story. So I said that each of you will go to an info session and then you'll have personal advising. Maybe 7, 8 years back, I had a Pitzer student come to me for personal advising, and she was majoring in chemistry over at Keck Science. And she said to me, I finished most of my chemistry requirements. I'm taking 2 courses this semester. I want to go abroad next semester. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do my senior thesis in chemistry. And my long-term goal is to go to grad school, get a PhD in chemistry, and be a professor of chemistry. I love research. I love teaching. That's what I want to do with my life. And then she paused, true story. And she looked at me and she said, but you know what, Mike? The last thing I want to do when I study abroad is what? What do you guys think she said? Is anyone, this is where I wish I had some voices here, but come on, any one of the 28 people out there, what did she say? The last thing, I've got all this chemistry, that's what I'm going to do with my life, but the last thing I want to do when I study abroad is what? Anyone? Chemistry, yeah, all right, thank you. Hannah and others, Ebenezer, yeah. The last thing I want to do is chemistry. I've got great professors right here in Claremont. I'm getting all the chemistry I need. And when I study abroad, I want to have a language and a culture learning experience. And that's a very important part of my educational goals for my plan at a liberal arts college. Because remember, we are a liberal arts college. And so in her case, she wanted to go to France and study French. She wanted to get good enough in French to be able to have conversations in French. She had studied it for 4 years in high school, was never able to have a conversation, and said, I know if I can just spend a semester in Paris, I'm gonna have that. I'm going to be able to realize the fruits of all that work I did in high school. And so that's what she did. She came back. She's a professor now, but she takes wonderful vacations to Paris and speaks quite nicely with the people in French. And so the point is, study abroad can be a wonderful way to enhance your major. That's a perfectly fine way to look at it, but it also can be something that has nothing to do with your major, but has something that's very important for your educational plan that you have for yourself. And at Pitzer, it is a liberal arts college, and we have other educational goals, as Kibo Keeley was mentioning, such as intercultural understanding, social responsibility, environmental sustainability. We have these other goals, and then you have your own personal goals. And so those are all valid ways you can approach study abroad. And I just wanted to point that out because a lot of students, especially first-year students, and unfortunately a lot of faculty, think that the only thing you can do on study abroad is your major. And that's not accurate. It's a wonderful way to enhance your major if that's what you want, but there's a lot of other things you can focus on and study abroad as well. And then there's programs that allow you to do both. So, other questions?
How does it work if we want to study in a country where Pitzer does not yet have a program? I like that question.
I think I answered that, didn't I, early on?
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But feel free to, I just said, you need to, if you don't find what you want amongst our programs, you're going to have to petition for it. You're going to have to work with your faculty advisor, work with us.
Okay. It's still in the 3 questions that were not answered.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody wanted more. Okay, now it's gone. Now it's gone because now there's 2.
We've answered those as well.
Yeah, we have.
So.
Okay. 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 But as we are thinking about other questions and bringing more questions in, I just want to add that we believe in what we call individualized study. And so your study abroad will mirror what you as an individual student wants to do. And so you may be rooming with somebody and both of you go abroad to very similar destinations, hopefully not in the same program. You'll go as roommates to different situations and you can all bring different things. The important thing is to engage difference. And that's what we are looking for. What study abroad programs do you have in Africa? Africa is a huge continent, so we have several programs on the African continent. We have the program that Mike is responsible for. It starts in Tanzania. It's one of the direct Pitzer programs that he spoke about. It starts in Tanzania, it goes to Zimbabwe, my homeland, yay. And it encompasses South Africa as well. He'll give more details about that program. There are other programs too, we could give more details if you were interested, that I'm responsible for. We have 2 in West Africa, in Senegal. That program is based in Dakar and is part of what I called ISEP earlier on, International Student Exchange Program. And students go there all the time. And then we have a program in Ghana, and students have gone there. Last year, when we had to recall students, sadly, from all over the world because of this COVID thing, we had a student in Why did that just escape me? We had students all over the continent, and we had a student in Kigali. Yes, we had a student in Kigali, and she had to, you know, like everybody else, make it out, and she was able to. So we work with universities on the African continent. We also work with partners like SIT. The program that I just mentioned in Kigali, Rwanda, is an SIT program. French-speaking countries, yes. Senegal is a French-speaking country where we have students going. We had a student go to Madagascar a few years ago, but that was an unapproved program. When we say unapproved, we don't mean that we don't like it, we don't think it's good enough. It means it's not on the list. So if you went on the website and you don't see Madagascar, don't think that I just made it up. I did not. Students can go to those programs because, as Mike indicated earlier, students can go to programs that are not being offered if they have good educational reasons. And this person, if I remember correctly, was going to study some form of a bat that can only be found in Madagascar. Who knew? Yeah, yes, the answer is yes. The domestic exchange programs. Justin, you are asking about domestic exchange programs. Yes, yes, yes. We have a great program, 2 great programs in Atlanta, where students can go there on exchange, and students from there can come to Pitzer on exchange. From Morehouse College and Spelman College, very distinctive liberal arts colleges, historically Black colleges, and we have exchange relationships there. We also have an exchange relationship with 2 New York universities, BARD program. You can study at BARD on a couple of their programs. One of them that is really exciting is right in the center of the city of New York, and you look at global issues. So we call it BGIA, which stands for BARD. And what does GIA stand for? Global and International Affairs. Don't quote me. But anyway, BGIA, what it does, we are working together with all those fancy organizations like the United Nations or some other human rights organizations that are based in New York, and students have an opportunity to have a real life experience interning at those organizations for university credit. And they have professors at Bard University working with them during evenings. It's a very intense program. It's not for everybody. Not all programs are for everybody, but if you want an intense schedule where you start at 8 and end at 5, and then go and have quick dinner and turn around to go to class, BGIA in New York is such a program. And then of course we have Sarah Lawrence University. So our students can go and study over there, and students from those 2 universities can come and study over here. There are others where we have the one-way relationships. I'm thinking about colleges that send students on a one-off, but those 4 are 4 that we can start talking about. There's more. Once you walk into the office, then you'll be overwhelmed because there are more programs. Oh, Mike, I think you can answer that one better than I can.
Well, I think I'd like to tackle the next 2 and of course have you join in on the second one. But Anonymous has asked, how will study abroad work in the next few years with COVID? And I think, you know, the quick answer is after this fall, beginning in spring, I am very optimistic that we'll be fully up and running with study abroad in all of our programs. Of course, that's going to be dependent on how the pandemic plays out, not only here, but in countries where we want to send students, It's going to be dependent on vaccination rollout and the ultimate data coming into telling us how effective the vaccination is at preventing transmission. We know that they're spectacularly effective at preventing serious illness. And we think they're going to be very effective at preventing transmission, but that data isn't quite in yet. And then, of course, we have this problem that we're probably all aware of, is that rich countries are getting all the vaccines, and a lot of your middle income and developing countries are not. And a lot of the places where our students like to study abroad, where we have a lot of our programs, are countries that haven't gotten a lot of the vaccine yet. So that's going to be another factor that plays into it. But I'm hopeful that we'll be fully operational by spring of 22. We're still, we may actually run a couple programs this summer at the end of summer, short-term programs, and we may run a couple programs in the fall, but we're not completely sure yet. But I want to say one thing in regards to this. What are the basic principles that are guiding us as to whether we run a program or not? And there's three basic principles. The first one is, will students be safe? So we're not going to send students anywhere where we think that there's going to be an added risk from COVID or from anything else. I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and this is the first time we've had a pandemic like this, but there's been plenty of other situations, health factors and safety factors we've had to deal with. There's been wars, there's been earthquakes, there's been volcanoes, there's been revolutions, there's been all sorts of things go on, other diseases, SARS back in the day when we had students in China and whatnot. So we've had to deal with this type of thing for a lot. So first principle is, student safety, absolutely. And then the second one is the safety of our host communities. We don't want to do anything. One of our underlying principles on all our programs is to really honor the host country, to honor their laws, the community laws, the national laws, to honor their culture, to not do anything to a host family or a community or an internship organization that is going to cause them a pain or suffering or embarrassment, or put their health or their safety at risk. So the second principle is, can we send students into these places, into these other communities, into these villages, into these host families without increasing any kind of risk or problem for our hosts? Because after all, we're guests. We're very privileged to be able to run our programs in these countries and to be able to have things like homestays and internships and universities that accept us with welcome arms, but we are guests, and what they ask in return is that we respect their culture and we respect the laws and we respect them, and so we want to honor that completely. And then the third principle is the educational integrity of our program. We have to be assured that whatever health or safety situation is out there is not going to interfere in any significant way with with us realizing our educational goals, with our students realizing their educational goals. So those are the three things we look at. So if any one of those three things isn't there in a significant way, then we probably would not run a program. And if we do run a program, all three of those things have to be pretty solid. And so that, I wish I could be a little more certain, but I think in spring is going to be great. And by the time you guys, as first years, would be studying abroad, the earliest you would probably study abroad would be summer. If you wanted to go on a summer program after your first year, I think those are all going to be up and running. And then fall of your sophomore year, there should be no problem. Of course, I'm knocking on wood here as I say this, but that's my very optimistic outlook for the long range picture. So.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mike. You've hit it all. It all. And then I'm going to the not last one, but that one, which talks about what do you think makes Pitzer study abroad programs different than any other, college program? I'm assuming other college, meaning other programs here, like we have different programs on campus, or I'm not really sure, Anonymous, if you are also adding other universities, but I'll take it the way I think I want to speak to it. You know, our programs are similar to other people, but they are different from other university programs. They are similar in that you go on these programs over there, wherever over there, and you study over there, and you come back with credit, and so on. But they are so different in that our guiding principles are some of what Mike was talking about earlier on: intercultural immersion and understanding, social responsibility manifested in how we deal with the other and engage difference. And also, we are different in that we see this as part of your 4-year time here. So it's not something you do as an aside and then come back to real stuff back at Pitzer College. No, this is a seamless part of your going abroad. This is why once you come for advising, you'll hear us talking about preparatory courses, things that you can start thinking about to make yourself ready. You were talking to professors of language earlier on. So you want to go to a Spanish-speaking country. Having a little bit of Spanish will take you a very long way. The more Spanish you have before, it will take you away. If you know that there was genocide in Rwanda before you get there, it changes how you deal with the culture. So what I'm saying, there's preparatory work, there's work you do over there, and then you come back, and guess what happens? You continue doing that work that you started over there, or you started before you went over there. So you have these 3 stages that are connected. And dare I say there's a 4th stage post that, where you are going on to your graduate school or on Fulbrights or any of those good things. So that's what makes our study abroad different. I want to also add that our study abroad is different from other places because of the connection with faculty. A lot of study abroad in other places, and there's a school I don't want to mention, students can go, but they decide what they are going to go to. They do not have the academic advising that we do at Pitzer from not only our Office of Study Abroad, but from the major advisors and other interested faculty who want to make sure that students get this broad experience. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about the money. The dollars matter. And at Pitzer College, it doesn't matter whether you're on financial aid, even if it's Pitzer's financial aid, as we say in our office, travels, which means if you're on financial aid, you can still go abroad. In many schools that I know, if you're in financial aid, you cannot go abroad. You can go abroad if you're going to pay for it. Here is the good news at Pitzer. Everybody can go abroad if they can. And our job will be to make sure that we show you the range of programs that are out there that you can attend and that can enhance your educational objective.
Thanks, Shah. I would like to add something about our Pitzer direct run programs. I don't feel like I've fully explained the model that they follow and why they're unique. And so I'll talk a little bit about the model and then a little bit about the people that make that model work, which I think is distinctive for Pitzer. So the model of the direct run programs is they're focused on learning from being in the community, in the culture, in the language. So that's the focus. It doesn't mean you don't have classes. You do. You'll sit in classes with professors. You'll have papers to write. You'll have readings. You'll have tests. But everything that I'm mentioning is focused on, is trying to facilitate your learning in the community, in the culture, in the language, by participating fully in host families and internships in the community. So that's the basic focus of those programs, number one. Number two, what are you taking? What courses are you getting credit for? You're going to have an intensive language course that on our programs is really fantastic language learning, very powerful language learning, very small classes, one teacher with 3, 4, 5 students, 3, 4 hours a day with breaks. These are very engaging, really good teachers. And they're using a communicative approach where you're practicing in the classroom the features of the language, the functions of the language that you need to be able to use outside of the classroom in real life when you go out into the community. And as you learn those in the safety of the classroom, you're learning the same grammar and vocabulary that you would in a more traditional language classroom. But instead of going out and practicing on worksheets, you're going out and you're using what you learned in the classroom in real life with your host family, with the community. So the language learning is very powerful. And then there's a core course taught by our directors that gives you a broad overview of the country and the culture you are in. It's going to really focus in on issues that are important to that community, to that place that you're in, to the people that you're interacting with. It's often going to have a very strong social justice element. It's going to have a very strong intercultural learning element. And those are very special courses, I think, that you don't get in a lot of other programs. And then finally, there is an independent study project. And that's where you can do something that you're absolutely passionate about. This can be something that has to do with your major if you want, and you can do something that you could turn into a senior thesis. It could launch you into a Fulbright proposal, a Watson proposal. It could be that thing that makes you stand out on your grad school application. Imagine someone applying to med school on their grad school application who says, yeah, I worked in a rural clinic in Tanzania or Zimbabwe with women in maternal health. And imagine how that makes you look when you apply to med school, and how many other people there are going to be that have that on their resume. Not a lot. And if I'm a med school person trying to figure out which of these 100 applications am I going to take for interviews, who's the person I want to talk to? The person who took another organic course and did an internship at a hospital here in Southern California, or this person who was out in the bush in Southern Africa working with women? So think about that. And then the final thing I want to say about that makes our programs unique is that educational model doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens because we've got really committed, dedicated, experienced program staff there to do it. Most of our program staff has been with us for 20, 30 years. Running these programs is not just a stepping stone towards a career in something else, like it is for many other study abroad providers. Our directors, this is their vocation. This is what they do with their life. This is what gives them satisfaction. My colleague Kibo Kili was one of our directors, as she mentioned, in Zimbabwe and Botswana. I was director for many, many years of our program in Nepal. And I can say unequivocally that doing that program and working with students was the richest time in my life. And I know that all of our directors feel that. And that makes a huge difference. Having that kind of staff support that's going to really help students handle the intercultural challenges, help them realize their educational goals, keep them safe, keep them healthy. People that have 30 years of experience. I mean, my job overseeing these programs is really quite easy because I've got such an amazing staff out there that's doing this. And so that's what really, I think, makes our direct run programs unique. It's the people that are doing them. And you'd be hard pressed to go to any other study abroad organization and find the program directors that have the kind of experience that our program directors have. So that would be, and again, Kibo Kili was years and years running our program in Zimbabwe, which was a beautiful program. And if we had a little more time, I'd tell some great stories about students from Zimbabwe that came back to Pitzer and how they were different. They were different because the program was different. And they came back and did amazing things back here at Pitzer. And students from all of our programs do that. Okay.
Mike and Kibokile, thank you so much for answering all of our questions about study abroad. And Mike, when these students get to campus this fall, I'm sure they'll love to hear all those stories.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to meeting all of you in person. We didn't get to see too many faces on this Zoom call, so but come in. Kibokile and I, because of our backgrounds, I spent most of my adult life in Nepal, and Kibokile, of course, is from Zimbabwe. And we really, I think, have a very strong value on interacting with people and sitting down and talking and drinking tea and spending time. And I think that's why Kibokile and I, have a certain connection in our office, because a lot of other people in an American office, they grab their coffee and they go back to the computer and they drink their coffee while they're, no, that's not the way it works. You grab your coffee, you sit down with a colleague or a student and you talk and you share. And so I guess come into our office and remind me that I said that, so that I can spend that time with you, and I look forward to it.
Definitely. I'll be coming by your office as well.
You got it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for our students. Oh,
Bye-bye.
sorry, go ahead.
No, just to say thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to all of our students who have joined us today. Have a good rest of your evening. If you have any further questions about your admittance to Pitzer, I know the deadline to respond to us is this Saturday. You can always reach out to us at admission@pitzer.edu. We hope to see you on campus this fall. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.